Hello and welcome to the Entrefluential Life podcast. I'm your host, John Tanner. Sebastian has a early appointment meeting, so he's getting ready for that, but he might be able to join us a little bit in a little while. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see if he joins us. But in the interim, I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation so that we can stay consistent with our early morning show. So hello and good morning to everyone. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024, and this is episode number 68. So for the first thing that we have, our physical tip of the day is a Wolverine exercise. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is the Wolverine workout, and it was created by Nyla Ray, and you can find this on Pinterest. We're going to also put a copy of this on our Instagram channel at the Entrepreneurship Life. And there's, it looks like 10 or 9 different exercises. The first one is 24 high knees. You're basically running in place. You lift your just run in place, 24 high knees. So 12 left leg, 12 in the right leg. That's the first exercise. Then you're going to do 24 squats. That's where you just kind of, you extend your hands straight out in front of you, and then you squat down like as if you were going to take a seat, and then stand back up into like the Superman pose where you put your hands at your hips. So 24 squats. Then we have the third exercise is 24 climbers. So you get up in the push-up position. I did this morning, actually. You get up in the push-up position, and then you bring your knees up towards your elbows. And so you do 24 of those. That's 12 for each leg. Then the next exercise, number 4, is called a raised leg push-ups. So you lift up. So you get out of the push-up position, right? You're in a push-up position, and then you lift up. You do a push-up, and you lift up one leg at a time. So you lift your left foot up in the air, then you lift your right foot up in the air, and you do 10 of those. Then you do 10 shoulder touches. So you're still in the push-up position, and then you want to take your, let's say you take your right hand and you touch your left shoulder. Then you go back to the push-up position. Then you take your left hand and touch your right shoulder, and you want to do that 10 times, 10 shoulder touches. Then exercise number 6 is 10 plank jump-ins. You're still in the push-up position. Boy, this is a lot of upper body exercise. You stay in the push-up position, and then you want to bring your legs into as if you were like a frog. You're getting ready to do a jump. And so you bring your knees up to your elbows, and you're in a squat position touching the ground. You're touching, your hands are flat on the ground. Then you extend your feet, you kick back to a push-up position. So you want to do 10 plank jump-ins. Then our 7th exercise are 12 reverse crunches. To do this, you lay down on your back, you put your hands at your butt on the ground, and then you put your legs as if you're sitting in a chair, but you're on the ground, right? So you're sitting in a chair, your knees are at a 45-degree angle, and then you want to lift up your buttocks so that you are doing a bottom lower stomach crunch, and then you go back to that chair sitting position. So bring your knees towards your chest, then go back to the chair position. Bring your knees toward your chest, go back to the chair position. You do this 12 times. And then exercise number 8 is 12 sitting twists. So now you're on the ground again. You're sitting down and or sitting up, right? You've got your feet, your knees up in the air, so like your feet are touching the ground, and then you put your hands. You're going to twist your body, right, so that you're working on your abs. You twist your body to the left, you twist your body to the right, while holding your feet off the ground. So you're kind of like in a sitting position, and your knees are in the air, and your feet are off the ground, and you're twisting left and right with your hands clasped like if you were praying. So 12 of those. And then the last exercise number 9, you lay down on your back, you put your hands at your buttocks along the sides on the ground. And while you're laying down on your back, you want to lift your legs up. They're called the flutter kick, right? So you want to do 24 flutter kicks. And basically you're moving your feet up and down like scissors. You're moving them up and down, left foot up, left foot down, right foot up, right foot down. So twist. So when your left foot's in the air, your right foot's on the ground, and then vice versa. So 24 flutter kicks. So level 1, you want to do 3 sets of all 9 exercises. For more advanced fitness enthusiasts that have been doing this for a while, you might want to go up to level 2 and do 5 sets. And then level 3 is 7 sets. That's an insane workout. And you want to rest up to 2 minutes between each set. So you're just getting started. You may only be able to do 1 set, and that's fine. Start where you are and grow. So this is the Wolverine workout, and that's our physical tip of the day. So number 2, our mental tip of the day, comes from Matthew Ferry, and this is how to reprogram your reactive mind. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. Let me open it up. Yeah, so my computer's playing a little slow today. And again, I'll have this up on Instagram, so you can take a look at it later on. But I'll just kind of read it to you because I can't. It doesn't want to seem to open up from my email app. So reactive. This is what you want to say to yourself to reprogram your reactive mind. And basically, the reactive mind is that part of your brain that subconsciously says, "Don't do this new thing," because it wants to maintain the status quo. It's kind of like a safety mechanism, but it can prohibit you from achieving your goals. And so the way that you respond to this reptilian brain mechanism is that you reprogram it by doing affirmations, right? So this is kind of like a positive affirmation to control that. And so here's how it reads. Reactive mind. I know you are scared of the unknown and have set up automatic responses based on many false assumptions. I know you're trying to protect me and you want me to be safe and comfortable. I know you want me to have a good life, but you don't know what is going to happen. So I'm going to take new actions, try new things, and open myself to new results and new benefits. I promise that everything is okay and we will be fine. If we get rejected, then we will let our logical mind analyze the cause and effect of these experiences. We will not respond emotionally. Our logical mind will make adjustments for us to be successful the next time. Let's do this. And so this reactive mind comes from Matthew Ferry in a program called Top Agent Mindset. All right, and then so that was our mental tip of the day. And now for our spiritual tip of the day, I'm going to be reading from a book by Dr. David Jeremiah. It's called Living the 66 Books of the Bible. Let me go ahead and close this out real quick. Bring you back here. So this is a book called Living the 66 Books of the Bible, and it's how to apply the Bible into your daily life. And what it does is takes the Bible books and it consolidates them down to just a one-page summary. So it's this basically 1.5 pages, and then it has 4 key takeaways. So I'm going to go ahead and read this to you. 1 Timothy. Researchers tell us church attendance is dropping in the West, but the Bible says our Lord's church is alive, well, vital, and growing. The world has been writing obituary notices for the church for 2,000 years. Yet in every generation, God has raised up godly pastors and leaders who will do as Paul told Timothy, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus. The book of 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, and Titus are called pastoral epistles because they were written to men who headed up the work of local churches. Timothy oversaw the work in the city of Ephesus, and Titus worked on the island of Crete. In 1 Timothy, Paul gave critical instructions for the management of the church, including how to fight for the gospel in a hostile culture, the roles of prayer and of women, the process of finding leaders, what to do with those who fall away, and how to deal with various groups within the congregation. the final chapter is full of closing exhortations. All of this tells us the health of a local church is of utmost importance for his kingdom, and no congregation is healthier than its individual members. Each of us must be an example to the believers in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, in purity, not neglecting our gifts, but continuing in them. Serve faithfully in your church and be an example to the other believers. So that's the key takeaway from this Bible chapter, 1 Timothy. Here's the key theme. We must live holy lives that are pleasing to the Lord and devoted to the truth of his word. Key challenge. Be an encourager. Look for opportunities to uplift and bless others. The word bless means to make happy, joyful. Key verse. Let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, in purity. Key prayer. Father, grant me wisdom and a servant's heart as I faithfully serve you in my local church. So the key takeaway for me is if you're trying to live a life that's pleasing to the Lord and devoted to his word, the truth of his word, then that means that you're going to love others, you're going to serve others, you're going to help try to make other people's lives better. That's our goal. And for me, in my opinion, I think that that's what being an entrepreneur is about. So if you're an entrepreneur and an influencer, the way that you exercise that influence is by serving others. The way that you work as an entrepreneur, obviously, is in whatever capacity, whatever industry you're pursuing. So whether that be working as an HVAC technician or doing IT support, you can be an entrepreneur in any of those areas. When you own your own company, when you own your own business, you're an entrepreneur. And so Entrefluence is being a business owner and being a servant of others. And when you serve others, you influence them in a positive way. And that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to always be positive, always be a light to others. So that's our spiritual tip of the day. We've covered our physical, our mental, and our spiritual tips of the day. And now it's time for our Entrefluential tip of the day, which is business skills, professional skills. And so this part comes from, got my notepad over here. This part of our instruction comes from the Small Business Improvement Matrix. Now, let me see if I can go back and share my screen one more time, because I do want to show you this Small Business Improvement Matrix so that what I'm saying will make a little bit more sense. Okay. It's coming up. And so here, oh, wow. So this came up a little big. There we go. Now you can see it kind of zoomed out. This Small Business Improvement Matrix will help give you direction on your entrepreneurial endeavor, on managing your company. And so as you can see, there's 12 slices of the entire wheel. And in order for your company to work optimally at its highest and best potential, you want to make sure that you're thriving in all 12 of these areas. And it's not just business ownership, but it's also about you as the business owner, because you will see here that we have life plan under strategy, which is what we covered last week. So under strategy, you have business plan, your life plan, and your financial plan. And today we are going to talk about financial plan. If you have a low score, a score of a 1 in any of these categories, that's a red flag. That means you need to pay attention to what's going on here. Anything between a 1 and a 3 is in the red zone, right? Red or yellow, red to yellow. As you get to the middle, that's more yellow. And then green is up here. Green light is that you're managing these sections of your business, these silos very well. And that's what your goal is. Your goal is to get green all the way around in all 12 components. And that means that you're thriving and personally and professionally. Okay, so for financial plan, we have to have a map, right? Which is at the center of our Small Business Improvement Matrix. you need to plan. You plan your work and you work your plan. So how do we develop a financial plan? How can we get up to a high score of a 6, right? 1 through 6. So I wrote down a list of things that we can do to get to that 6. Okay. So number one, you want to think about in your financial plan, how much money do you need in order for you to survive and thrive once you exit your business? As a business owner, you want your goal is to make X amount of dollars. And then when you exit your business, let's say when you're ready for retirement, maybe it's when you're ready for retirement, maybe it's you're going to exit your business when you're ready to pursue a new entrepreneurial endeavor, which happens a lot. So what you should start with today as a brand new business owner, you want to start with thinking about having a financial plan for when you exit your business. So begin with the end in mind, like Stephen Covey says. And so the way that we do that is we create a financial plan which covers the main things are your time horizon, which is how much time horizons, how long do you think you're going to live, and how much money you're going to need on an annual basis to pay all of your life expenses until you reach your death. Okay, I know it's kind of a little bit morbid to talk about death, but if you have to think of how long you're going to survive in order to plan and reverse engineer your financial expenses. So your time horizon, your annual expenses, you want to think about how much after tax returns you're going to need to cover those expenses. You want to develop an estate plan because in a way it's called controlling from the grave. What are you going to do with all of your things when you die? You can do that. You can control from the grave basically by saying, hey, this is what I have planned out through a will and through a trust or multiple trusts and insurance products and so forth. So you want to have an estate plan, and then you want to consider your risk tolerance, because there's investments that you can collect which pay you money, your after-tax returns, and some of them are more risky than others. And so you want to think about your risk tolerance. When you're younger, you can be more risk heavy, and then when you get older, you want to be more risk averse. So let's start with some of the expenses that you should be calculating that you need to cover if you were no longer working, that your investments will be able to pay you so that you can continue to maintain your lifestyle. What are the things that you're going to spend money on? Well, you need a home. So with a home, you have a mortgage payment more often than not. You have taxes, insurance, and a homeowners association fee. Your second home is another opportunity, right? Maybe you have a vacation home. Maybe you have 2 vacation homes. So you want to again factor in, if you're financing it, how much is your mortgage payment, your taxes, your insurance, and your association, homeowners association or condo association fees. The third category is travel expenses. Let's say you want to spend summers in Europe. How much is that going to cost you? You should look and see how much the plane tickets are for you and your family, and look at that on an ongoing basis, and you can make adjustments, right? How much are the plane tickets to and from for each member? How much is your hotel stay, or if you're going to rent an Airbnb or rent a house, short-term vacation rental, extended stay, whatever that may be, whatever that looks like, hotels. You want to cover your lodging, your travel, and then the capital that you're going to use, the money that you're going to use while you're there for tourism, whether that be visiting the Louvre. How much would it cost you to buy tickets to whatever activities you're going to do, whatever restaurants you're going to eat at, basic incidentals, your sundries. Think about those things and then put in a budget for it, and then monitor how those prices change, because the airline rates change, hotel rates change. So monitor that and make adjustments so that you can budget accordingly. So you can get a good idea of how much those changes are happening over a period of time, so that you can set aside enough reserves to cover those annual vacation expenses. And then if you have surplus, it's always good to pad your expense so that if you have a surplus, you can move those surplus funds over into a different account, like an emergency funds account. The next category is your living standard expenses. And so here I would encourage you to download, you can Google a living expenses spreadsheet, and it'll have different things that you should be budgeting for, such as toothpaste, hair products, dental care products, your monthly grocery expenses, your laundry expenses, anything that you can think about that that you should be budgeting for, that you spend on a monthly basis. And the best way to find out, you have your wants and your needs. Look at your past 30 days and see what your expenses were, and then add those to a category. Then look at what you lacked, what you didn't spend money on but you need, and add that into your category. And this will give you a detailed living standard expenses sheet for budgeting going forward. And you also want to factor in inflation erosion. Inflation erosion, like according to statistically, or according to Big Brother, like our inflation rate's about 3%. So if your after-tax returns is giving you X amount of money today, whatever that dollar amount is, let's say it's $10. Well, you can factor that 3% of those $10 is going to go away through erosion, inflation erosion next year. So whatever that, so that's a 10% of $10 will be $1. So 1% will be 10 cents. So 30 cents of that $10 is going to reduce your buying power. So in other words, whatever you can buy with $10 today, you'll only be able to buy $9.70 worth of products next year because of that 3% inflation. I hope that makes sense. I try to explain it in very simple terms. So deduct 3% off of your living standard. Whatever it costs you today, it's going to cost you 3% more next year, and that's on the books, right? So the best way to observe that is to look at what your expenses are for milk and bread. Those are two good. What I've heard, those are two good templates to use, barometers, if you will, to observe and see how your expenses are changing over time. What are the costs of those things? Bread and milk. They say bread and butter, but I say bread and milk, or milk and eggs. Okay, so we covered inflation. The next thing is healthcare insurance. How much money will you need for healthcare? And those prices change. As you get older, healthcare gets more expensive. And so you want to talk to a health insurance agent to find out how much your healthcare expenses are going to be as you age, so that you can budget accordingly. So your payments might be $500 a month now, and they may be $1,000 a month when you get in your 60s. So factor the adjustments to go up as you get older. Then we have life insurance. Same thing with life insurance. The younger you are, the less expensive it is. As you get older, the price for life insurance goes up. So you want to factor that into, and how much life insurance should you carry? What do you plan to do with it? Who are the beneficiaries? Think about those things as you age. And then those are two things to think about also: life insurance and health insurance, and who your beneficiaries are. Those are important for if you happen to have a divorce. Make sure you want to make sure, and your divorce attorney should. I hope that doesn't happen to you, but if it does, then your divorce attorney should provide you with counsel to make changes to your beneficiaries on those things according to your intentions. Then we have this is part of estate planning as well. You have your burial expenses. I know that we don't want to talk about that, but we have to. So think about your burial expenses, plus think about death taxes and estate taxes. So the government, state and federal, both like to collect death and estate taxes. And so there are some exceptions or some carve outs to those, but make sure that you speak to a competent attorney to plan on those things. Because if you have a house in more than one state, you might be paying death taxes in two states if you have not specifically declared one state as your primary residence and the other one as not your primary residence, but that you just hold a vacation property there. So that's that is an action step that you have to take. It's not something that happens by default. You actually have to declare this second home property location is not, I do not intend to be a permanent resident of the state, and therefore please do not add me as a permanent resident for the tax purposes. Then you have next category is our gifts to family, friends, and charitable donations. That's part of your estate plan and something you should think about in your financial plan as well. And lastly, you should have a will, a trust, and advance directives, and those should be monitored with the will. The will should be your catch-all, so you can have a trust plan which distributes all of your assets prior to your death, right? Has instructions to be carried out, so like a living trust. And then your living will is your catch-all, so like it's your backup plan. So anything that is not distributed through your trusts can be distributed through a will, which would be entered into probate, but there's nothing there because it's all been distributed already through your trust. That's a smart way to do it. Advanced directives are your end-of-life instructions, and so that there's a lot of gray area in there. There's a lot of personal decisions you have to make with the advanced directives. But having no plan is the worst plan, because then you default to the state's rules. And those state's rules may not be in your best interest or your family's best interest, and definitely creates confusion when you have more than one family member trying to make a decision on what to do with your estate if there's no instructions left. So part of your financial plan is leaving those instructions so that the people who are left with everything on the plate, they know how to follow through with what your intentions were. And I'll add one last thing to this instruction, to this set of financial planning. I think that it's a great idea to do things like this right here. I'm making this recording. I'm glad that this recording will live in perpetuity, hopefully, for my son and his children and their children to look at and have an idea of my ideologies and my wisdom that I'm sharing with you all in this episode. And you can do the same thing too. You can create recordings like this, and you can keep it in a safe, and you can share that with your heirs so that they can know who you are and learn from your wisdom. So it's a good idea to think about creating this kind of like a vlog for your family as part of the estate, because that is indeed life's golden treasures. And so that's it. That's how you create a financial plan. I know it's a little bit broad. It's a high level view of the different aspects, and there may be things in here that I missed. If I did, and you thought of something, then make a note of it in the comments, because I'm curious to hear what it is, and I would love to improve my list. So I welcome your suggestions. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and that will conclude our episode for today. And don't forget, as we always say when we close our show, I'm sorry that Sebastian couldn't be here today. I'm sure he's forlorn about not being here, and I'm sure he's excited to come back and join us next week. And as we always close out our show, we like to say, go out there and amplify your message. And the reason why we say that is because in order for you to grow your business, you need to let other people know what it is that you do. So go out there and amplify your message. Be a light to others. Be salt and light. Share love and joy and kindness and mercy and grace and generosity, and you're going to have a very rewarding life. Thank you so much for joining me for the Entrefluential Life Podcast early morning show. This is John Tanner signing off. Thank you, and God bless you. Take care and have a fantastic day.